How many of these did you believe as a kid? For decades, adventure movies convinced us that a single misstep into wet sand meant a slow, agonizing descent into a bottomless grave. It was the ultimate playground terror, but physics tells a completely different story. In 2005, physicist Daniel Bohn at the University of Amsterdam analyzed how quicksand behaves under stress. He discovered that the mixture is denser than water. Since the human body is mostly water, you are actually far too buoyant to sink completely. At most, you will only go down to your waist. Slow, deliberate leg movements introduce water back into the sand, liquefying the grip and allowing a safe escape. It turns out, those cinematic death traps are simply a dramatic illusion. But what about the food on your plate? If you grew up hearing that eating carrots would give you night vision, you were the target of a highly successful military deception campaign. During the 1940 Blitz, the British Royal Air Force began destroying German bombers in the dark with remarkable accuracy. To hide their secret weapon, airborne radar technology, the British Ministry of Information released a cover story. They claimed pilot John Cunningham, nicknamed Cat's Eyes for his night-flying prowess, owed his sight to a massive diet of carrots. This wholesome lie encouraged citizens to grow vegetables during wartime food shortages. Long after the war ended, the propaganda survived as family wisdom. Carrots support general eye health, but they never granted anyone supersight. It was simply a brilliant cover story. For children of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the massive family television set felt almost alive. Under its warm hum, a spooky playground rumor spread. The people on the screen were staring right back at you. If you picked your nose or made a face, the news anchor saw everything. This eerie suspicion made sense when television signals felt like magic. But analog engineering was strictly a one-way street. Broadcast towers pushed signals out to the home receiver, where a demodulator extracted the picture and sound. There was absolutely no return path for data, light, or video to travel back to the studio. The TV was a blind receiver, meaning those actors on screen were completely in the dark. Parents who warned their children to step back from the screen in the late 1960s had a very real reason to worry. In May 1967, General Electric recalled 90,000 color television sets due to a dangerous engineering defect. A faulty high-voltage regulator tube leaked X-ray radiation directed toward the floor, emitting emissions up to 100,000 times the safe limit. The U.S. Public Health Service issued urgent notices to locate 9,000 missing sets, instructing families to stay at least 6 feet away. This genuine hazard quickly mutated into the universal playground rule that sitting close to any screen would ruin your eyes. Fortunately, modern liquid crystal and light-emitting diode screens do not produce X-rays, making today's living rooms perfectly safe. In February 1964, writer Vincent Gaddis coined a phrase in the pulp magazine Argosy that would ignite decades of playground terror: the Bermuda Triangle. Popular media quickly took scattered tales of lost ships and inflated them into a supernatural vortex. But the ultimate reality check comes from the cold, hard numbers of global commerce. Lloyd's of London, the massive insurance market that calculates global maritime risk for a living, does not charge extra premiums for ships traveling through this region. To underwriters, it is just another stretch of water. Coast Guard data confirms that the rate of disappearances here is no higher than any other heavily trafficked ocean corridor. The legendary graveyard of the Atlantic was born from a catchy name, surviving simply because the rumor sounds far more exciting than the math. At childhood sleepovers, the bravest kids gathered in a darkened bathroom, chanting a name 3 times into the mirror. You stood in the shadows, waiting for Bloody Mary to appear. The terror felt completely real, because after a minute of staring, your reflection actually began to warp. But the horror was entirely internal. In 2010, psychologist Giovanni Caputo published a study in the journal Perception on what he called the strange face illusion. He found that when you stare at your own face in dim light, the brain's visual processing system grows tired and begins to misinterpret incoming information. Under these low-contrast conditions, the brain struggles to assemble the image and starts substituting distorted, monstrous features. The figure in the glass was never a spirit. It was your own mind short-circuiting in the dark. A pile of clothes on a chair, a tangled blanket, or the heavy shadow beneath the bed frame. In the quiet hours of the night, these ordinary shapes easily transform into crouching beasts. This terrifying childhood experience is driven by a hardwired survival mechanism called pareidolia. When light levels drop, the brain is forced to work with limited visual data, causing it to mistakenly project familiar patterns, especially faces and human figures, onto ambiguous objects. For children between the ages of 4 and 5, this bottom-up perceptual bias is exceptionally strong, meaning their minds construct vivid threats long before logic can step in. The fear that kept you shivering under the covers was completely genuine. The monster under your bed never existed, but your brain's instinct to protect you did. Then there were the warnings we carried inside our own bodies. Remember the absolute terror of accidentally swallowing a watermelon seed? The schoolyard rumor was clear. That tiny black seed would take root in your stomach and sprout into a giant melon. In reality, your digestive tract is a hostile environment for agriculture. Stomach acid and regular digestion ensure that a swallowed seed simply passes through your system entirely intact within a day or two. While folklorists have tried to trace this myth, its exact origin remains completely unknown. It simply spread through generations because it was a perfect, memorable way to keep kids from choking. But if seeds didn't destroy us from the inside, surely our nervous habits would. Stop cracking your knuckles, you'll give yourself arthritis. It was the ultimate playground warning, made believable by that sickening bone-snapping pop. But the actual physical cause of that sound is entirely harmless. When you pull your joints apart, you expand the space between them, causing dissolved nitrogen gas bubbles in your synovial fluid to rapidly form and collapse. This process, known as cavitation, creates the loud pop. To prove the warning was a myth, California doctor Donald Unger conducted an extraordinary 60-year experiment. He cracked the knuckles of only his left hand at least twice a day, leaving his right hand untouched. After 6 decades and tens of thousands of cracks, medical examinations showed absolutely no signs of arthritis in either hand, an achievement that earned him the 2009 IG Nobel Prize in Medicine. Your knuckles are perfectly safe, even if the sound still drives everyone around you crazy. We closed our eyes during thunderstorms, certain that if lightning hit the oak tree in the yard, we were safe from another strike. The old proverb promised that lightning never strikes the same place twice, but the National Weather Service shatters this comfort. Consider the Empire State Building, which is struck by lightning about 25 times every single year. Tall, metallic, conductive structures are exactly the targets lightning returns to, over and over. Once you understand the physics of electrical attraction, the proverb completely collapses. Looking back, Our childhood was filled with these convincing illusions designed to keep us safe. Perhaps it is time to uncover even more playground rumors. Which of these myths fooled you the longest? Subscribe to the channel for more truth behind our favorite legends. Our childhood myths shaped how we saw the world, proving that imagination is often more powerful than reality. Which of these legends fooled you the longest? And are you ready for part 2? Subscribe for more eye-opening truths.